Hello, and thanks for coming back and joining me on this beginner AutoCAD series. We're going to now move forward now that we've learned the interface a little bit more with the project, or excuse me, with the program, and we've learned a few commands. Now let's really get into it. And if you'll see on your screen, you can see that I have two cat faces. And I know you're probably going, well, what does cat faces have to do with CAD? Well, it's actually pretty simple. CAD can be used to draw anything. So I'm going to show you a few commands to draw something extremely similar to these cat faces that we have here. So just to start out, and I'm going to actually leave these things up so you can do a comparison so you can get an idea of how it's going. And we'll go from there. Okay, so one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle. Circle can be done a few ways. You can either go up here to your ribbon in your draw ribbon and you can do a circle this way. And if you look at the drop down underneath circle, you'll notice that there are 6 ways to draw a circle. And then you're probably like, wow. You can either do it based off of the center point being the first action that you use, which is usually the default command, or you can do it based off of points between different spaces, either 2 points or 3 points, or you can do it based off of something even more complicated for some people, tangents and radii. And sometimes if you're doing some CAD work inside of your projects, you'll notice it calls for these things and you'll know which tool to use. We're going to use a very simple tool, which is center and radius. And like I said, that's usually the default circle command. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put my mouse around where it is on this cat here so I can get an idea of how close it is. And I'm going to now just click. That's my center, right? And then I'm going to click out, and that's my radius. Now, I could have also put in a specific number, 3 feet, 6 feet, whatever else. But for right now, we're just learning the basics. We're just doing the quick tools. There's no need to be that specific right now. So we've got our head in. Next thing that we're going to draw in is we're going to put in the eyes. So once again, I'm going to use my circle command again. But instead of me going back up here and clicking up there, I'm going to actually type in C, enter, which is also for circle. And I'm going to start about roughly here in this part of the head, and I'm going to then draw that eye in. Now, one thing that you'll notice that I do on a regular basis and that I always like to talk about when I am doing my drawings is I'll say I like to do things the easy way or the lazy way, if you will. So instead of me sitting there and drawing the circle all over again and trying to guess where the circle is supposed to be and making sure I'm on the exact same line for my center point, so on and so forth, I'm just going to copy this one over. And because I want to be precise and I want it to be symmetrical, I am going to use a different command, and that's called the mirror command. So I'm going to click on the item that I want to mirror, and that's going to be my circle. And the way that the mirror works is it's mirrored based off of some center axis, and you'll understand what this means in a minute when I show you. After I selected my item, I'm going to type in MI, which is, it starts the mirror command. All you have to do is the MI, and you can hit enter. And then I'm going to actually use the center point of my circle. 9 times out of 10, if you've just started this drawing with me, your other grips, or excuse me, snap points are not turned on. If you need help turning those on, all you need to do is go down here to the bottom corner, and you'll see here where it talks about object snap, F3. You just click on it, excuse me, right click on it, and then you can go through and you can select all the different ones that you need. Most of the ones that I end up using are midpoint, which is usually not selected, the quadrant nodes, or the nodes themselves for the circle. Every once in a while, I want to see where the parallel is. I want to see what the apparent intersection is. It's good for when you have 2 pieces of geometry that are far away from each other, but you still want to maintain that relationship between those two. And sometimes I need to know when something is exactly perpendicular. So I have all of those in there. Then from here, after I go ahead and select those, you really can just click back on the screen and start back where you were. Now you'll notice I now can select my quadrant for my circle, like I said, the center. many different things. So I'm going to click just, at this top quadrant here. And then I'm going to take my mouse, and you'll notice what that circle is doing as I move my mouse around. It's making it so that it is exactly opposite that axis line. Obviously, I want to make sure my axis is going straight down. So I'm going to make sure that this degree that shows up is either is at 270 or 90 degrees. Once I notice that it is, I'm going to go ahead and click, and it's going to show me where that new circle is going to be. The next question it will normally ask, do you want to erase the first one? 9 times out of 10, I do not. So the usually the default is no. So you can either click that no with your mouse, or you could type in for no, or since the black dot is already next to no, and that's the default, you can go ahead and just hit enter. And now it's there. So the mirror tool is great for when you're trying to do symmetrical drawings, and you're trying to do symmetrical drawings quickly. So we've done 2 eyes and we've got a head. This is where it gets tricky, and this is why I like to use a CAD, because I think this helps when it comes to other type of visualizations, when it comes to drawing geometry in CAD. So the next thing that we're going to do is the nose. So in order to start the nose, we need to take a look at what the nose shape is. And if you look at it, you'll notice that it's an upside down arc, or right side up. Well, depends on, I guess, your perspective of what an arc looks like, with 2 connecting lines. So somewhat like a cone. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start the arc command. And there's a few ways that you can do the arc command. So I'm going to go up here and show those to you as well. And just like with the circle that had 6, there's 9, actually 10, if you count the continue, for the arc command. The one that we're going to use is going to actually be that start, center, end. The default is normally the 3-point arc, so just be aware of that. So I'm going to click on start, center, end. And I'm sorry, excuse me. I don't want to do start, center, end. I'm not thinking here. I want to use the center point first. So let me get my drop down again. So I want to do center, start, end. See, that it matters, the direction it matters. So I'm going to start by clicking on the center point of the circle. So in order sometimes for you to get the center point of the circle, you have to put your mouse on top of the line for the circle. So that now you see the little plus sign pops up that shows where that circle is. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to actually click. And I'm going to use that point now. And then I'm going to, excuse me, zoom in. And I'm going to go ahead and start my point for my nose. And you'll notice I'm going to actually make sure that the degrees, and I'm going to hit my tab key so you can see it, the degrees for the input for the dynamic input is at 35 degrees, which it already is, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit enter. And what that, sorry, type it in, not 35 degrees, I want to do 45 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put 45 degrees in, and I'm going to hit enter. And what that's going to do is that's going to lock that in place. Then I want to end at 135 the other side. So it's asking me for that next point. I'm going to type in 135 and then enter. And there we are. There's my arc. The next thing, all I need to do from here is draw the connecting line. So I'm just going to type in L, enter for line. And once again, I'm going to find the center point. Now I can actually put my mouse on top of the arc as well to get that center point now, because they share the same center point as the circle. And I can start at that center. And actually my mouse got a little off, so let me do that one more time. So I'm starting at that center. Sometimes my mouse gets a little jumpy here. I'm going to start at that center, and I'm going to go to the end point of this arc. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I've got, right now, my line is set up to chain, so I'm going to hit escape once, start the line command again, and I'm going to hit that end point of that again and hit the end point of the other arc. Make sure I get it right on there. Now that it's on there, you'll notice now I've got my nose going. So how about after you do this, let's take a quick break and I'll start again in the next video and we can continue to put in the rest of this cat face, the nose with the mouth and the whiskers. Thanks again, everybody.